happening here in terms of opportunities and some bad news that can be turned into good news if you know what's going on.
Yep.
So before we get into that though, I want everybody to get to know you. And so tell us about yourself. Where you from? Where you raised? All that good stuff.
Yep. Originally from Toronto, Canada. I was born in Toronto. Grew up there. I moved to the United States in 2010. So spent 30 years in Canada. I moved to Maryland in 2010 for grad school. I did my thing in Maryland. I lived there for about 5 years. And in 2014, early 2015, I moved down to the beautiful state of sunny Florida. So I'm located in South Florida nowadays.
Nice, nice. Now, what you study in grad school?
I study the best field possible, and that's business.
Nice, nice. That's cool. Well, yeah, and Maryland's a good school. You went to University of Maryland, right? College
Uh,
Park. Is that what?
no, actually, I didn't. I went to Morgan State University, so
Oh,
shout out
even
to
better.
Morgan. Shout out to Morgan. Growing up, I didn't know what an HBCU was, right? Outside of Canada, people may not know what an HBCU is, so I didn't really know what an HBCU was until about 2010. So that's when I found out firsthand. So I graduated Morgan.
Wow, holy cow, that's crazy. Yeah, okay, so you went to Morgan and studied business, and then let me ask you this. So let's jump into stock market investing and all that stuff. At that time were you into stock markets and trading and options and everything, or like when did that start to happen for you?
That didn't really happen until later. My first experience in investing was real estate. So I started off my investing journey in real estate. So I didn't really get into the financial markets until later on. But once I did, I realized that that better aligns with my natural skills. Like I don't have skills to switch out HVACs and toilets and water heaters. That's not my skill set. I'm good with numbers. I'm good with business. So the financials markets perfectly align with my natural skill set.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So your natural skill set. Okay. So that's really interesting. What's funny to me is that how many people get introduced to investing, trading, and stuff like that, like maybe after the age of 35 or 40. I don't know how old you are. How old are you, by the way?
Well, I'm not old at all, Doc. I'm 45 years young.
Okay, 45 years young, right? Yeah. And it's funny. I think the question I would always end up asking is, how is it that you're doing this at 45, and I know you do this a lot now. And I guess a question I would always ask is like, okay, so what was keeping you from doing that at 25? What would you say was the issue there in terms of why because I'm sure if you could go back in time, you'd have started,
Definitely.
at age 12 or something, right? So
Yep.
what were you doing at 25 and why were you not doing this?
I simply didn't have the exposure early on in my life. If I'm not exposed to these concepts, if someone does expose me to that concept the first time, I think they're talking Mandarin or Portuguese or Spanish or something to me at the time. So I wasn't really exposed till later on in my life. What I was doing at 25 is I think what the typical 25-year-old is doing, trying to go to school part-time, trying to work part-time, and BSing around full-time. That's what I was doing at 25.
Yeah, yeah. I asked that question, I guess, because it's kind of you mentioned a really operative word. You said exposure. Right. And I think sometimes it seems like there's a need for us to expose like younger people to all the different ways to make money so they can make that choice. Right. Like
Right.
like you went into real estate and then later on you realize, okay, this is my skill set. Right. So you always ask, like what would happen if you had figured that out at 12 or 9? You know what I
Correct.
mean? Like let's say you had parents that said well, this is nothing against your actual parents. I mean, so but I'm saying like let's say your mentors, whomever, who
Yep.
said, okay, let's try real estate, little Errol, and let's see if this works for you. And then you're like, I don't know if I like this. And they're like, okay, well, let's try investing in the stock market. Like, because when you think about making money, there's really only three major ways people make money in America, and that's stock market investing, real estate investing, and entrepreneurship. Right. So really, and I say this, I'm asking you this loaded question because I want everybody to just kind of hear this. Like take your kids around the world financially. Like show them the different ways people make money so they can make that choice early. Because remember, time is valuable, right? The
Yep.
sooner you figure it out, the sooner you can get to it, right? Would you agree?
Correct. No doubt about it. Time is money. We hear that phrase often, and it really is true. In the financial markets, especially in the financial markets, the longer we hold, the higher the return.
Yeah, yeah. So let's talk about. So first off, let me ask everybody. I want to see how many people in here are investing in this stock market. Give me a yes if you're actively participating in the market right now. All the investors in the room, put a yes in the chat. If you are a no, it is okay to either say no or to remain silent. We're not judging you. I want you to turn that no into a yes. Okay. So all the investors, put your yeses in the chat because I want us to just know this is the energy we operate on. We're wealth builders. We're getting it done. We're making it happen.
Yep.
So all the yeses that are in here, give me another yes if you've noticed the volatility recently in the market, just kind of the chaos. There's been a lot of stuff going on. This morning, I went in and I bought some shares. I bought some more. What did I buy? I think I bought some more Meta, and I bought some more of that cannabis ETF, MSOS, that fits my cannabis thesis. This market's been kind of crazy lately. How's it been feeling for you? What's been going on in your investing world, Errol?
Really, I have the same approach every day. Market up, I have the same approach. Market flat, I have the same approach. Market down, I have the same approach. My general approach is to dollar cost average into my long-term positions, and then I'll mix in some lump sum buys here and there. That's in terms of my long-term positions. And then you mentioned volatility, but if you know what you're doing, there's opportunity every day. Volatility or no volatility, right? If you know the right strategies, it doesn't matter if the market's up or down. I'm gonna eat. I'm gonna eat in any market condition. I'm gonna pay my bills in any market condition. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Volatility, I'm gonna get paid. No volatility, I'm gonna get paid. Flat, I'm gonna get paid. Green, I'm gonna get paid. Red, doesn't matter to me. Doesn't matter to me.
So what you're saying, this sounds, is that you're consistent even when the market is inconsistent. Is that accurate?
I've got the same approach. I've got the same mindset any day. Market up, market down, market flat. I've got the same approach.
Okay. Okay. So how do you think about just first off, let me ask you this. What are your observations in terms of what's been going on lately? Like how are you feeling about I saw something today. In fact, I'll tee it off with this. I saw today that there was a company that released some data. The government's not releasing jobs data, which is a real problem, right? Because of the shutdown and all that. So all these private companies are releasing their data. There was a company that released data today that basically said, it kind of bothered me a little bit. They said that there were more job cuts this month, 175% more job cuts this month than last month, 183% more job cuts this month than this time last year. That this was the worst October for job cuts since 2003 and the worst month ever since 2009, right? And the thing about 2003 is that at that time you had a disruptive technology called the internet popping off that was getting jobs cut. In 2009, that was when the market was, or the economy was on a cliff. Does this alarm you? And how are you feeling about conditions right now in the market?
Well, to be honest with you, this doesn't surprise me at all. The writing's been on the wall for a long time. My question is, why would I put my faith into another man's hands? I'm going to control my fate myself. Job cuts or no job cuts. I can't really defer my outcomes to somebody else. That was the mistake I made for, the majority of the last 20 years. I put my faith into HR's hands. I put my faith into Mr. Charlie's hands. I didn't take accountability of my own outcomes. So job cuts or no job cuts, that doesn't surprise me. The real question is, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? Are you going
So
to
so you
identify? Are you
oh
just
go
going
ahead,
to
please. I'm
complain
sorry.
about it, or are you going to do something about it? Are you going to make a plan? Are you going to execute on that plan? So it doesn't surprise me. I don't really pay attention to that. Again, I've got the same approach. I'm going to make things happen myself. I will no longer defer my outcomes to another grown man.
Okay, so when you say I'll not defer my outcomes to another grown man, it sounds like you had an experience that really shaped your perspective on that. Tell me more about that.
Multiple experiences. Well, I'll mention these two examples. You might have heard me say this, or the B1 community might have heard me say this previously. Two times in the last 7 years, twice in the last 7 years, HR looked me dead in my eye and told me I was unqualified, despite having all the fancy degrees, despite having all the experience, despite exceeding job requirements. I was still unqualified. All you had to tell me is that one time. I learned that first time you told me that. So that happened maybe 2019 and then again maybe 2022. That first time I learned my lesson. That first time I started making a plan. That first time I started implementing and executing something bigger for me, bigger and more important for myself. So that was two experiences. HR telling me I was unqualified. All you needed to tell me is once. Thank you. HR, if y'all listening, I love y'all. Thank you forever.
So you feel like they did you a favor by
Correct.
not, because a lot of times, we have a lot of people that kind of say, "Gosh, I want them to love me and give me the job and take care of me," and you're actually thanking them. You're saying thank you for, kind of rejecting me so that I could go find myself. Is that
Correct.
would that be accurate?
100% correct. I thank them. I don't say that in a funny way. Them not promoting me or them not hiring me really just lit a fire under my ass that will never be extinguished, right? So if they did promote me, if they did hire me, I would have got too soft. I would have got too comfortable, and I would have wake up one day in my 60s and realized I had nothing to show for 40 years of labor. So I truly thank HR. I truly thank HR.
Wow, that's heavy. That's really heavy. Yeah, that reminds me. I'm at right now. I'm attending the Power Networking Conference down in Atlanta with Dr. George Frazier, and I was talking to two young black men. One was 21, one was 17, and they were asking my thoughts on stuff and advice and everything, which I think is really smart for young people to do that. So one of the things I did tell the guys is I said, a lot of times people spend their whole life looking for something or someone to get something done for them or to help them to accomplish something or get to the next level, which is fine, right? Networking is important. But I said, really, the person that you're really seeking is yourself. You're really looking, you need to look inside. You need to find
Yep,
yourself first. And
definitely.
because so many people they don't know who they are, they don't know what they want, they don't believe in themselves, they don't believe they can actually contribute to their own success. They're thinking that this external thing, this, I'm gonna meet somebody that's gonna get me there. I'm gonna, Mr. White Man's gonna give me the right job, or I just need somebody to give me an opportunity. And sometimes it doesn't work out like that. And and you have to be the first investor in you. You have to be the first believer in you. You have to be the first person to kind of say, I think no matter what happens externally, I know what's going to happen internally because that's what you can control. And then what you find, I've found, and you can tell me if you agree, is that once you work on your internal, once you work on whatever it is you're doing, yourself, your own project, your own work, in some degree of independence, then you will find people will start to become attracted to that. They want to connect with people that are already sort of moving in the right direction. Has that been your experience? I mean, I know that's how I met you. I was just impressed with what you were doing. And so that's how I think we became friends. What would you say to that?
Yeah, definitely. People will recognize people that are getting results, right? Not one-time results, but consistent results. So people will gravitate towards you. If you really put that work in, if you really put that sacrifice in, if you really put them reps in, if you really put them hours in, you don't need to talk about the results. The results will show. So, like I said a little bit earlier, I really sacrificed the majority of the last 20 years of my life. So every day I would work my day job. Every day I would go side hustle. Every day I would go to the gym. Every day I would study. Then I'll go sleep and then I'd repeat that process. So that was my process 20 years straight. So I don't need to talk about, I don't need to hype myself up. The results, the repetitions, the hours I put in, the sacrifice I put in, all the hardships I went through, it just shaped me in a certain way. It just gave me a certain mindset that I feel like my mindset's undefeated nowadays.
All right. Well, by the way, everybody, I'm talking to Errol Semengal, and he does a lot of things, right? He not only he started off taking classes in the Black Business School, and he's a member of the Prime program, but then also he's so good that he actually does consultations and teaches in the school. And actually, he's going to do an event. You're going to do an event on trading in a couple of weeks, right?
Yep.
Did you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, I'll give you a quick overview of the two-day training starting on November 15th. The first day we'll review basics. Okay, so the first day is dedicated to reviewing the basics of selling strategies, the basic selling strategies, basic terminology, the basics of position management. So that's dedicated to the first day. Second day is when we're going to get into some of the more advanced topics. Advanced topics like eliminating your entire cost of living, entity trading, and a Robinhood wealth hack. So that's the general plan for both days. If any of that resonates with you, check us out on the 15th and 16th of November.
Okay. And what I'll do, everybody, is I'll share the link if you guys want to join. And I like this because from what I understood, I pay attention, in Prime to ways that things like selling stock options and or just stock options in general could change your life. And I've seen a lot of people, like hundreds of people, like quit their jobs and stuff like that. And your story was really interesting. Can you kind of talk about that in terms of what you were able to accomplish by sort of locking in on your investing strategy, not in a wild trading, just being
Correct.
sort of a random gunslinger trader, but by being calculated and smart and strategic with your investing. What did that do for you? I mean, it seemed like didn't you tell me that you quit your job or you replaced your income or something? Remind me of that.
Well, yeah, I was a part of the first cohort of Prime back in the summer of 2022. Even before that, I was studying options a little bit on the side every day. So that first cohort, I was studying a little bit every day. 30 minutes or so every day got me to where I am today. So what happened was I started Prime in the summer of 2022. By the second quarter of 2023, I knew exactly what I was doing. I had the capital base. I had the basic math skills. I had the basic tech skills. The missing piece for me was the investor psychology. So I have to salute you and the Black Business School for helping me master this investor psychology. So by second quarter 2023, that's when I became financially free. In 23 and the rest of 24, I worked a day job. I woke up one day at the end of 2024 and said, "Look, this is not worth it for me anymore." And on Friday, January 20th, 2025, that's the last day I ever work on the corporate plantation.
Wow, wow. So you just left. Like you're just gone. Like I think that's cool. We should clap for that. So I always clap for a black man quitting his job. So let's talk about that process of getting off the corporate plantation. Like what did that feel like for you? What was the strategy? How did
Oh man.
that like what were the steps to getting to that point? Like when did you say, okay, this is what I want to do? And then you're executing and then you actually did it. And then you have the aftermath. Tell us about that from the very beginning and the process.
Well, I didn't do that. Oh, that was not an overnight decision, right? I didn't just make a lot of income one month and wake up and quit my job, right? Again, it goes back to consistent results. I didn't get one-time results. I didn't get results one month. I didn't get results 2 months. I didn't get results 3 months. I got results, over 2 years straight every month. So while I was working my day job, I was just asking myself every day, is this still worth it? Is this still worth it? And when I left my day job, I'll tell you this, my health instantly improved the day I left my day job. My health instantly improved. I felt like 1,000 pounds left off my shoulders. Another 1,000 pounds was released off my chest every day. And all that anxiety left me. That was the first couple of things I noticed. Just just the fact that I could sleep in an extra hour, 2 hours every day was a big boost to my health, right? My previous day job was on military hours, right? It was pretty much a military operation. So I'm not really a morning I'm not really a morning person like that. Waking up at 6:30 every day, that really took a toll on me, that long. So my health instantly improved, my mental and physical health instantly improved, my mood instantly improved, and my income also improved.
Wow. So what's really interesting to me about what you're describing, Errol, is it wasn't just like about the money.
No.
It was like it almost seemed like it was a spiritual experience. And I know this. I mean, I understand, right? Like I think that what sometimes we seem to forget is the toll that plantation experience
Yeah, man.
does, it takes from you in terms of your mental and physical health. You're not sleeping as much. You don't have time to work out and go to the gym. I've seen you. You're in good shape. You and I pump iron, but I don't know if I don't do as much as Errol. Errol's like rock solid. This man can be a bodybuilder, and I know that takes time, right? It takes self-care takes time.
Yep.
And the thing about the corporate plantation is they don't care about you. They care about themselves. They do their self-care at your expense. So they end up with a big pile of money from your labor, and you're depleted, you're drained. They're taking something from you, not just your money or the money you could be making, but they're taking your time, they're taking your energy, they're taking your attention. And so to me, what I really want everybody to notice that I'm listening here is that it's not just the financial side of it. And believe me, Errol ain't broke. Okay, so I just want to say that Errol's making money. We've talked about that. But it ain't just about the money. It seems like it's about the stuff that's more valuable than money. Is that
Definitely.
would you agree with that?
100%. The peace of mind is more important than the money. My freedom is more important than the money. My health is more important than the money. My time is more important than the money. The people on my network are more important than the money. So I got the money out of the way so I can focus on the more important things.
Wow. I really like that. What I found was it's really funny. You're one of the few people that I've talked to who said out loud the part that I've always thought internally, but I don't say it because it probably sounds weird, which is like literally when people ask me, are you really mad that Syracuse University didn't want you the way that they should have? I was kind of seen as like sort of the radical black man because I was into all this pro-black stuff, and that doesn't do very well in academia, just to be
Right.
honest. And I say, no, actually, not only am I not mad at them, but I'm so grateful that they didn't see my worth. I'm so grateful they didn't discover my value because I had, and the problem was not them not seeing my value. See, we'll get mad. We'll say, "Oh, you don't see my worth. You don't see how important I am. I'm a good, smart black man, and I'm qualified, and you don't see it. What's wrong with you?" Right? But it's like, here's the problem. The problem is not that they don't see your worth. The problem is that you don't see your worth.
Yeah.
Like because if I had seen my worth, if I had a crystal ball at 25, and somebody said, "This is your worth, Boyce. This is who you are. This is your destiny, man. You get if you lock in." I never would have even been there in the first place. Like we spend all that time looking for love in all the wrong places because we don't see what we're worth. Like it's internal, right? So how can I get mad at someone externally for something that was broken in me internally? Where I never knew how good I could be at what I did. But instead you're going around and you're seeking things and like, please acknowledge me, validate me, tell me that I'm pretty, tell me that you know what I mean? Like, it's like, no, man. And I think that's a lesson like we could teach kids. So let me ask you this. I'm curious. Do you have kids?
I have one kid, yeah.
Okay, and how old is a son, daughter? Tell me more.
Daughter, she's almost 9.
Okay. What lessons have you learned in your life that you're teaching to your beautiful daughter?
The exposure, first of all. A lot of us, the only thing we were exposed to as a youngster was shine up your resume real shiny and go send out 4,000 of them. Hopefully somebody calls you back. So we're not, that's going to be maybe 99th on the make money list. If at best, it's going to be 99th on the how to make money list. We're skipping all the things we love. We're skipping all the begging. We're skipping all the ass kissing. We're going straight to the bag from the jump. So we're going to the market. We're going to learn some entrepreneurship. We're going to learn some real estate. We're going to learn some stock options, and then maybe if the first 98 ways of making money don't work, then maybe we'll go shine up our resumes and send out 4,000 of them.
Well, I like that. I mean, I think and I think that's really powerful, right? And what I like about that is, it's important to really think about that intergenerational transfer of knowledge and experience because, when I see what you're talking about with your daughter, it's like I see a version of you that's obviously, a woman instead of a man, but somebody who is learning the things you know now, but learning them at the age of 15, 12,
Right.
you know what I mean, that kind of thing. And here's the thing that's really interesting, and I hope everybody will hear me on this, is that you're very powerful, like, and people can tell you're confident, you're solid, you're strong, you're good at what you do, and so imagine just all of that being transferred to your child, and she's 25 years younger than you, right? Like your kids are supposed to be better than you because your kids are supposed to learn from you, right? We make mistakes so that those mistakes are not just wasted energy. That's what happens. A lot of times we make a mistake and we're ashamed of it and no one else benefits from the mistake. But that loss can be capitalized. It can be actually seen as an investment, right? Okay, I made a mistake. So you don't have to make the mistake. Like I was explaining last night to a brother, he was asking me, do you drink? He offered me some scotch or something, and I said I don't drink. He said, you don't drink? Why not? I said, well, because I had a lot of alcoholics in my family, and the biggest thing they did for me was they said, stay away from this. This will be one problem you'll never have in your life, right? And I don't judge people that drink, but it was like it was a gift to me that they gave me, in the middle of their challenges with alcoholism. I got a lot of alcoholics in the family, right? And so I almost feel that really for all of us, we have something to contribute to the kids, right? Even if your life is a mess, even if you made all the mistakes, right? I don't know if anybody else has made a lot of mistakes. All of us have, right? And the regrets and everything else. Don't just carry them around as this toxic energy where you're just mad that you missed out on stuff and all that. Transfer that to the kids and just say, okay, don't do what I did. My grandmother, another thing, my grandmother, who's the Panther, Felicia, she actually one of the best things she ever told me was she said, I spent 30 years working a job that I hated. And she was at the Census Bureau. She had one of those good government jobs. And she said, don't ever do that to yourself. She said, the worst thing in the world, spend 30 years at a job that you hate.
Yep.
And that stuck with me, right? So let me ask you this. When you're talking to your daughter, what other advice do you give her in terms of, what it means to be financially secure? I assume she's not going to have all the money problems that so many young people have because she's got a great dad. What will be some other things that you share with her that she can benefit from?
One thing is I emphasize this with a lot of people, not only her, but I say, look, if you do decide to do the traditional education thing, you have to study business. Okay, you have to study business. Here's why: you'll end up studying business anyways. So even
Mm.
if you go to engineering school, you'll end up studying business anyways. Even if you go to computer science school, you'll end up studying business anyways. Even if you go to school for history, you'll end up studying business anyways. So why not save your time? Why not just study business from the jump? What'll happen is you'll end up working the day job, realizing you hate your life, and you'll end up studying business anyways. So just save yourself the time and start learning some basic entrepreneurship skills from the jump.
And you know what's wild is everybody who lives in America. And I don't know how many of you, some of you may be in other countries, and it probably applies to you as well. But everybody who lives in America kind of has to be a business major because America runs on business and money.
There you go.
Everything's about the money. Even in New York, they just, the controversial new mayor in New York, who I think he's a Democratic Socialist, Mamdani, which some of you love him, some of you hate him. It's okay to feel either way. But it's funny, like so many billionaires lined up and put all their money up to try to stop him from being elected, right? Because I imagine he doesn't support their interests, particularly as it relates to Israel and all that. But what's funny to me is that if you look really deeply in terms of like how he was able to fight back, a lot of it was because he had billionaires that were backing him, right? Like, you got billionaires who understand that maybe in America capitalism's gone a little bit too far, and that maybe it's good to have free buses and free childcare, and if as long as you can pay for it, right? It's all complicated, but still, money kind of makes the world go round. So if you look and you listen to people and you say, what are your biggest problems in your life? What are the biggest problems in your relationship? What are the biggest problems that you're stressing out over every night? What always comes up? Type the word in the chat, everybody. What word always pops up? Must be the money. They're stressing you out. Must be the money. Must be the money. Right? It's the money, 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 money. So if money is making the world go around, why don't we, as a common sense thing, and Errol, I don't want to hear your thoughts on this. It seems to me as a community, we could just decide like, okay, we're going to make sure our kids master money so they don't end up getting taken for a ride and being
Right.
used by people that have more money than they do. In fact, I'll say this too. I'm going to do a whole commentary on this. I'd forgotten Errol was coming in, even though Errol's my homeboy, but I'd forgotten. I was going to actually talk about this singer, Summer Walker, who was literally, I've kind of teased our daughters about her because she's in their demographic, right? And all she was talking about was basically using men for money in relationships, right? And I said, man, it's so crazy that these poor kids that don't have money are selling their bodies for money and
Oh
all
man.
these other things. And when they have good fathers like you that are going to make sure they're provided for, they don't have to make these desperate decisions. So, can you give me some thoughts on just anything that I said? I'm not even going to frame it as a question, please.
Well, what you just said basically describes these women as being businesswomen, right? They're conducting business, maybe not legal or ethical business, but they're conducting business. They're studying business, they're implementing business. So why
Mm.
not, instead of you doing that at 30 or 35, why not you do that at 15? So you don't have to do those kinds of things by the time you're 30, 35. So we need to
You're
expose.
not talking about selling yourself for money.
I mean, it's the oldest business in the book, right? But it's maybe not legal or ethical, but that is business, right? So look, they're
It
businesswomen
is
at the end of the
business.
day. They're
Well,
businesswomen at the end
to
of the
me,
day.
I think for anything, right, when it comes to money, I mean, and I guess if we're going to work every day for somebody to do whatever, we are technically selling ourselves, right? We're selling our time and our
Right.
bodies, and you know, but I would say there's a difference between selling something for money because you want to versus selling
Correct.
something for money because you have to, right?
That's right.
Like I agree with you. I think if people want to trade and transact in any way they want, they have a right to do that. But I think when you're doing it out of desperation,
Correct.
I think
Correct.
that's the issue, right? Like, so if you consider the fact that if I did a survey of most of my friends who get up and go to work every day, and I say, if you didn't have to do this, would you still do this? Or if they
Exactly.
didn't pay you
Exactly.
to do this, would you still do this? The fact that the answer is no is a little bit alarming because that says that you spend the majority of your time doing something that doesn't really make you happy,
Huh.
right? And it's not to say that I mean, don't get me wrong, sacrifice is important. Sometimes we have to do things we don't want to do,
Yep.
but to sacrifice and to know that there's not really even a good long-term benefit, that you're not really going to get more security out of this. It's not like the companies are taking care of their employees and showing loyalty. I think that's the issue, right? A lot of moves are made out of desperation, and desperation is the product of a lack of preparation, right? And so to me, I would say investing is just preparation. What would you say?
I'll take it one step further. It's mandatory nowadays. It's mandatory. It shouldn't be optional. It's really mandatory. If you have any ambition of being financially free, you need to execute. Okay, you can stop. We got to stop talking about it, and we got to start living it. So if you have any hope of being financially free in America today or tomorrow, investing in the stock market is mandatory.
Absolutely. Well, just so you know, Errol, it's next week. Errol is hosting the B1 Options Blueprint Weekend, and if you want to join and learn from Errol Stephen Gall, that's his name. Here's a link to join, and so there is a fee to participate with the options trading, but he's going to go through every single step of what it is you want to do in order to replace your income, stuff like that. Also, everybody in here for the next 48 hours, if you sign up now, you can actually get 48% off. So I'm going to put the link in the chat. And Errol is part of the Black Business School. He's in Money in the Morning. I mean, he was coming to class. He's been a Prime member for a long time. And I met him at the before the Stock Options Summit. I already knew you because I've seen you at the All Black National Convention, but then also the Stock Options Summit, and I think that was when we were in LA. That was when I really noticed how consistent and serious you were about this. And what I love about it is that you're really making it happen. Like you're generating the consistent income. You're like it's really nice as a teacher when the student is like doing exactly what you talked about and they're just executing at a super high level. So I'm super impressed, man. Tell me more about that in general, just like what your process is when it comes to how you're dealing with your options and creating your income and all that good stuff.
Yep. It's one thing to talk about these concepts. It's a something completely different to live these concepts, right? So some of the topics I discuss in the WIN study group or the training on the 15th are topics not only I've talked about, but I live those topics every period. Some of the topics we'll discuss on the second day, what your cost of living is and how to eliminate it. I don't just talk about that. I live that. I live that. So that adds to my credibility, right? I believe that adds to my credibility. It's one thing for me to talk about it. It's another thing for me to live it. So I haven't been living this just recently. This is, third, at least the third year I've been living these concepts, right? So I try to bring new concepts to the table, right? I try to bring concepts that haven't been recycled 10 times that you've seen on YouTube or here or there. So that's why my mind is more free these days. So I've got a lot of time to meditate on these things and study these things in detail and experience these things in myself. So then I'll bring it to market. So like I said, I don't know what I'm not a man of many words, man. I like to execute. I don't like to talk about executing. I like to execute. Right? My
Let's
execution will
talk more
speak louder than
action.
my words ever will be. So again, I live
Wow.
these concepts. I don't just talk these concepts.
Well, I like what you're discussing because wealth preservation is something that we have to think about on a regular basis, right? Especially when you have family and stuff like that. And when you said meditate on it, I agree with you. You got to meditate on it. Especially given the world is so complex, especially, for people in our community. And people are throwing out a lot of false solutions that don't actually work. And what I like about this is I mentioned this last night to somebody. I said, I ain't got time for stuff that is pie in the sky. I don't have, time for false dreams and fancy speeches that lead to nowhere. I want to see results. I like when you can talk to a family or an individual and say, okay, do this and this and this, and things will get better, and then they get better, right? To me, that sort of healing is so essential. And I think the frustration for so many people is that there's so many people out here just talking, saying, hey, everybody, let's all go do this or let's go do that. And then you do it, and then it doesn't lead to anything tangible. And so for you, I saw your transformation. I saw you elevate. And what I like about it as well, and I hope everybody pays attention, is Errol's a disciplined guy. You can tell he's disciplined, he's focused, he knows what he wants. And so I would encourage you to pay attention to that. Now, by the way, I want to mention to everybody. I put the link to Errol's event in the chat, and I forgot to mention the discount code. Forgive me for that. The discount code is the word morning. So use the word morning on checkout, and it'll take 48% off on the weekend fee. And it's the B1 options. Was it what they call it? The B1 options blueprint weekend. That's
Weekend.
right. The B1 options blueprint weekend, and it's going to be next week. And the dates again are Errol. What are the dates?
It'll start on Saturday, November 15th, and it'll end the following day on Sunday, November 16th.
Okay, so Saturday and Sunday, November 15th and 16th, it's 100% digital, so you can join from anywhere. Errol will be the master teacher that weekend, and he's going to break down everything that he's done, what's actually worked, and you can learn from him. And do you have the times? Like, what time do you start in the
Yeah.
morning?
Yep. Both days will go from 12 noon Eastern to 3 p.m. Eastern each day with a short break in between.
Okay. So noon to three, with a short break every day or for 2 days in a
Both
row.
days. Yep.
And so you'll be in a room with Errol. You'll get to talk to him. It'll be a small group setting, so everybody can participate. So the link is in the chat. You guys should see it. And the code to sign up with the discount is to use the word morning when you check out. And that'll be available for 48 hours, and it'll take 48% off everything that you sign up for. And the material is yours for life. So feel free to keep it and use it and share it and stuff like that. All right. Now let's see. Someone says, Irma says, is that Central? That's Eastern time, right? 12 Eastern.
12 Eastern, which is I believe that'll be 11 a.m. Central.
Okay, got it. All right, perfect. All right, so this is separate from Prime. You guys meet with me in Prime, so this is a separate thing. So if you're a Prime member, the benefit is I'm giving you guys the discount because you're here. So feel free to take a look at that and decide if you'd like to participate. And I'll give the link one more time. And the code word is the word morning, since you're in money in the morning. And I want to say thank you, Errol, man. You inspire me, man. I really, sometimes I meet people and I say, gosh, if we had like a million of you, then we couldn't be stopped, right? Or I think about great men that I admire and respect, young and old, yourself, D1, King Randall down in Georgia, Minister Louis Farrakhan, Dr. George Frazier, people like that. I look at them and I say, man, if we got to really just, like, this should be a blueprint. Like, what does it mean to build a solid man that is focused and capable and committed to accomplishing their goals? That's important for a community. I think honestly, I feel like they really worked hard to take away uh, the important parts of masculinity in the Black community, and it's kind of thrown things off balance a little bit. And so when I meet guys like yourself, and there's so many others, I mean, there's people in this chat that fit the description. Um, I think that's something we should think about consciously, right? And so each one teach one. And so what I'm going to do is let you get the last word, man. Um, what else is going on? I know you do winning Wednesdays every Wednesday
Yep.
online, and what else is going on in your life, or did you have a final thought you want to share before we bounce out?
Well, nowadays I purposely don't do much. Okay. 20 years, I work 30 hours a day, 20 years straight. So nowadays I take the hands-off approach. Nowadays I purposely don't do much. I don't want to do much these days. Okay. I went hard, the last 20 years. I'm good. I'm good off that. So nowadays, winning Wednesdays every Wednesday, noon Eastern. I'll have the win study group every second Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern. We'll have this training on the 15th, starting November 15th. And maybe we'll follow that up with a six week mastermind in December. So I purposely, to answer the question of what I do, I purposely don't do much.
All right. All right. Well, and I like it because and I know that that sounds like a lot. Maybe for some people it sounds awkward, when someone says that, but actually that's what greatness is usually built on. People that are really great at stuff usually are pretty focused. And I was the same way,
Uh,
I think when I got about 45, that was when I intentionally, actually it was more like 42. I intentionally made the decision to kind of balance a
Scale
little
back.
bit and do more things. But all through my 30s, I was focused on one thing because I would study people that were great at stuff, from Michael Jordan to whoever, Serena Williams, people like that. And they would just say, this is what I do. I have to put all my Tiger Woods, like I have to play golf all the time because I want to be the best in the world at this. While I think the balance is beneficial, sometimes we people want to be great, and I think that that's okay. And I think that we should also learn from great people and show that respect. And actually, in fact, my effort to become more balanced actually showed in terms of me getting married to Alicia, and I learned a lot. Actually, just raising kids and all that, it helps with your emotional intelligence and stuff like that. But still, like that fire, I encourage everybody. If you have that fire, there's something that you really want in life. Um, fight through it. Go get it. Make it happen. If you are really committed to what you want, then really no one can stop you. And I think the biggest liability that we give to our kids sometimes inadvertently is constantly reminding them that being black means you can't do anything without the permission of other people,
Huh.
or if other people are going to look at you funny or they're going to talk bad about you. Who cares? Who gives a damn? Show up, be focused, know what you want, and everybody's gonna get out of your way. Because I can see some of your names in here right now. I know some people that have that characteristic. I saw Jen. Jen is focused. I saw Alana Murphy. I have a lot of respect for Alana, for reasons that Alana knows. Calvin McWilliams, Richard Knox. Like and I can keep going. But there's so many of you in here that have that. And I say lock in, focus, stay on it, and to hell with what everybody else says and what they're doing. They can't stop you. If you're really determined, can't nobody stop. So Errol, thank you for being unstoppable, man. I have a lot of respect for you, brother.
Well, let me mention this before we wrap. I noticed my life started changing and my outcome started improving when I scaled back. When I scaled back, I simplified to multiply. So it was basically addition by subtraction. So I
Mm.
purposely did less, I could concentrate on one thing, and I think I became an expert in this one thing, and I'm not trying to do anything else. I'm trying to do one thing and go live. That's it.
Yeah, and I like that too because that's really important in a world full of distractions. Like
No
social
doubt.
media is designed to keep you, constantly taking your attention, beeps and buzzes and dings everywhere. And what I do, just as a little tip to everybody, life tip, I have like 5 things in my life that matter to me. Maybe sometimes it's 6, and I'll make a list of those 5 or 6 things. And in my mind, I say, these are my priorities. Everything else, I'll give my extra time to. Now, the thing is, I don't have a lot of extra time. So those things usually don't get any attention. But by limiting and focusing and prioritizing and knowing what matters, like, so for example, I drive Taylor to school every morning. The kids and family are a priority. Working out, going to the gym, that's a priority. Sitting here with you every morning is a priority. That's why I agree to do, I started doing this 7 days a week, every single morning consistently, right? And I could keep going down the list. And what it did was it allows you to kind of shrink the world down to the things that matter and the things that are going to have the most impact. And then and you're really, and what you're really doing is you're becoming the CEO of your life, right? You're making executive decisions that are going to be impactful, that are going to get results. That is so much better than letting people constantly pull you away from stuff. So like when I'm working, the
Yeah.
phone is off. Y'all don't hear my phone ring when I'm sitting here talking to you. I turn off all notifications of anything. Ain't nothing happening on Twitter that is important enough to distract me and get me over here, scrolling or whatever, right?
Right.
So do that, right? Lock in, control your space, control your life. It's more important now than it ever was, and that's how you become great at things. So, Errol, thank you for being a great man, brother. It was great to see you.
Likewise, Doc. Thank you. Love you.
All right. So if anybody wants to join the B1 Option Blueprint Weekend, the link is in the chat. I'll put the link in there one more time. The code word is morning. The code word morning will give you the discount that we mentioned earlier. And you guys can go take a look and join us for that weekend. I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. And we'll talk more and as more things come along. So God bless you guys. Have a wonderful day. And I'll text you all the link as well via text. Make sure you're on the text list. To get on the text list, text the word morning to the number 87948. Text morning to 87948. So God bless you. See you soon. Take care, Errol. Good to see you, brother.
Peace. Likewise.
All right. Peace.